Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back with the third and penultimate part of my shopping list, or wish list, or dreams, or whatever you want to call it, for whatever you want to call them, for Sampdoria, an Italian football team called Sampdoria as well, and another Italian team called Sassuolo, and Salernitana as well, another Italian team, and for Serie generally, or Italian soccer generally, and also for Celtic FC. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it, and I won't waffle too much. But I admit I was a bit apprehensive, as I often am making this video, because I fear people won't like it, or talk too fast, or like my content more general. And I think people who are not fans of football or soccer or whatever you want to call it probably won't enjoy it. But I hope people will support my videos, as I say, for Christmas, all being well. And I don't think I'll make part 4 tonight. I think I'll have to try and make that tomorrow if I can. But here goes. Here are ideas number 21 to 30. So I hope I can come up with some different ideas to my usual ones. And these are some of my visions to improve Serie and Celtic, hopefully, all being well. So here goes. So number 21. As I say, 21 again. To recap an idea I talked about, I would love to have Serie Soccer Limited, Italian Soccer Limited, and Celtic Soccer Limited, which would help to promote Italian teams like Sampdoria, Sassuolo, Salernitana, and others, and also Celtic, in nations where they use the term soccer, like America. I think Australia does as well, and wherever else in the world. And also to use use the same sort of idea to promote Italian soccer and Celtic FC in and around and across Africa, Asia, and elsewhere, using their local languages to help to promote Italian football, soccer, and Celtic FC and whatnot in those nations. So, or even for people to learn about Calcio, which is the Italian term for soccer, or football, or whatever you call it. Number 22. I dream that they can have ideas like that for the future to market, and there was a certain idea for, and somehow it's eluded my mind again. But I hope it will come back to me. But so yeah, promoting Italian soccer and Celtic all around the world. And there was an idea I had, but I've completely forgotten it. But I'll say also in Italy, there's like something called, I think it's Calcio Storico, which is a bit like rugby. I know I mentioned it recently, but I would love for I'd love for Italians to be encouraged to play as much soccer as possible instead of things like rugby or tennis or stuff like that. Partly jokingly, I say as a libertarian I wouldn't do this, but I say I'd love to ban other sports in Italy or things like that. So encourage Italians to practice soccer as much as possible, and to bring back the pride to Italian football, soccer, or Calcio, FOOTie, whatever you call it. So hopefully Italians will unite all the possible citizens in Italy and people from the diaspora and whatnot to help to work together to make Italian football world class, and also including the migrants that were in Italy. It would be great to see football being a unifying force, and they could work with FIFA and UEFA and whatnot. I'm trying to think of new ideas, but I know I'm covering a few older ideas like that. Well, I say older, but ideas I've already covered a little bit. So like working with migrant and refugee agencies and looking at how football can be used to bring people together, which would hopefully benefit FIFA and UEFA itself, and football itself generally, as well as Italian football and Celtic. Celtic already does quite a lot of good work to support migrants on that note. Number 23. Again, I'm trying to think of, I know I'm a creature of habit, but I'm trying to think of something different. But I would love to get as much investment into Italian football and Celtic legally, as I often say. And I got to admit, I'm not privy to the rules of the rules and laws of like FIFA and UEFA, like FFP, financial fair play. I've heard of rules like that, but that specific rule, but I don't know a huge amount about how it works. It's a bit over my head. It's a bit complex for me. And also the rules on ownership of multiple clubs in the same division or in the same competition. So I'm not too privy to those rules, but I kind of know them a little bit, but I don't know a huge amount about them, and I certainly don't know 100% about what the rules are. But I would love, as I say, for all legal possible ways to invest. So Italian teams in Celtic look at what as much investment as they can get, as I say, within the rules, legally or whatever, within the rules of FIFA and international rules and UEFA and whatnot. And maybe even FIFA and UEFA themselves helping to fund more development of football in Italy and for Celtic as well. Fund football pitches and things like that, especially for disadvantaged people, for instance, and doing community projects like that. But the reason why I mentioned the rule about multiple ownership is, as I briefly touched on in part 2, I would love for Alphabet, which is a parent company of Google, to invest in and or sponsor the Italian league. Ideally, I would love for them to invest in AC Milan or EMA, going on alliterations again, as I often say, but also as it's Alphabet and the Italian league is called Serie A and there's Serie B, Serie C and whatnot. It'd be great if they could invest in football in Italy generally, because I think that'd be quite fitting for that Alphabet, given that the Italian league is structured, or the Italian leagues are structured, professional leagues at least, in an alphabetical sort of way. So Serie A, Serie B, Serie C, and that kind of thing. So it's sort of fitting, I think, with Alphabet. From a bias point of view, it's really because I want that investment to be into Italian football. But I would love it if like companies like that could fund the league, and as many companies as possible, so that the prize money for winning the league could be really high, or even competing in the league, so Italian teams can get lots of prize money. I love it if even the lowest Italian team, even the one that comes bottom of Serie A, can still get lots of money. So all possible Italian teams getting as much money as possible, including those newly promoted. But at the same time, I don't know what the rules are. It would be cool if FIFA and UEFA would bend the rules as a Christmas present for me. Although some might argue, why would they do that just for a random guy? But if I'm really dreaming, I would love for them to do that. It would be my Christmas present. I would say maybe if I was more organised, I should have asked for it on my birthday, because that would be more personal for me. So, but anyway, moving on, number 24. As I say, there's only 24 hours in a day, and I have lots of other ideas that I thought of. But with Sampdoria specifically, I would love for them to be co-owned, possibly by a sovereign wealth fund from possibly Saudi Arabia, or which would be pretty cool if they could help development of football for Saudi Arabia, for Sampdoria. Sorry, again going on patterns and alliterations. Or if Sampdoria could at least, again, I know there's rules on owning multiple clubs, so they wouldn't be able to own Sampdoria, Sassuolo, and or Salernitana, but it would be cool if they could have some sort of way, they could find some sort of way of having shares in those clubs, and or helping them to build academies or just develop football generally for younger people at least. Or find some sort of legal, most importantly, I say legal loophole to sort of be able to invest in Sampdoria, Sassuolo, and Salernitana, and Celtic as well. PIF for Celtic would be pretty cool, I think. So especially if it was around Christmas and we can get those good investment deals, transfers and whatnot. And also if politicians and councillors, and again, sorry, I know I've repeated this idea before, or I've mentioned this idea before, and I'm repeating myself a little bit again, but it'd be cool if investors could, if politicians and councillors could invest in teams like Sampdoria, Sassuolo, Salernitana, and to build football pitches, especially to develop young Italian players, but also to buy great overseas players. I forgot to mention, I remember what I was going to say in point number 22, which is that I would love for people to subscribe to and view and check out just generally and like the videos on Sampdoria, Sassuolo, Salernitana, and other Italian teams in the Serie A official channel, and also Celtic as well, which I hope, maybe in my naivety and foolishness, I hope will help to earn those clubs more money, in which case they could buy even better players and invest in the academies and things like that, and do things that a football needs to develop. But I don't know how much money I don't know quite how much money they would make from such. 25, as I say, I would love for these things to happen around Christmas, as close to Christmas as possible, as I mentioned before. But as I say, I love especially the Milan teams, because it's like Christmas on a Monday, so like it'd be like Milan Mondays. Although I would love for AC Milan to be co-owned by as many companies as possible that begin with A, Inter to be co-owned by international companies, and to all those that begin with I, and Monza to be co-owned by those companies that begin with M. With Monza, I was thinking like, as it reminds me of Monopoly, and I thought if the owners of Monopoly invest in Monza, I think Hasbro owns Monopoly, and a part of me would love for them to invest, going back to alliterations again, in Hellas Verona, because it's like H, Hellas Verona. And I thought Virgin Enterprise, I would love to invest in either Verona or Vicenza. Maybe they could invest in Verona and help to sort of transform the club and tackle prejudice and things like that. Or maybe they could invest in Vicenza. I think that would be pretty interesting. Again, going back to alliterations and patterns and things like that. Number 26, I hope that they can give back to their local communities and like show how football can benefit local communities. Number 27, I hope that those who invest see a lot of good incentives for investing, like a lot of good rewards for investing in it and sponsoring Italian teams, Sassuolo or Celtic. Maybe the fans could specifically buy from those companies. Number 28, it'd be cool. Another thing I forgot I meant to mention, even in part one, was how I love Starbucks and maybe even Subway and other companies, as I say, because they begin with S. And Starbucks, for some reason, I think, so the first few letters might, I think, sound a bit like Sampdoria. Maybe not, but they have similar letters, I suppose. But I say it's a bit controversial at the moment because Starbucks have been in a bit of a bother. I think they've lost like 10 billion or so due to the war between Israel and Palestine, because supposedly they sponsored Israel, although they're denying it. They have denied it, and they are continuing to deny it. But it'd be great if I suddenly remembered that, because I was going to make the point that if companies, investors, and whatnot invested in Italian teams and or Celtic respectively instead of wars, I think that'd be pretty cool. If FIFA could say FIFA for peace and football for peace, so they could talk about like how instead of investing in wars, companies could invest in football, and again how football can build bridges. And number 29, I'd love to see what neurodiverse people can do for Italian football and Celtic. As I often say, again, if I'm really dreaming, I would love to create neurodiverse networks, even like a dyslexic billionaires network. I know I mentioned that before, and a neurodiverse billionaires network generally. And I think it'd be pretty cool if that showed what neurodivergent people, including dyslexics or people with ADHD and related conditions, could do for things like Italian football and Celtic. In this case, by investing in such teams. It'd be interesting on that note to find out if there have been any, or there are any players with dyslexia, especially in Italian football and for Celtic, and if there could be some in the future, and if they could be encouraged, like they're not very good at school. Sports such as football or soccer could be a pathway for them to achieve things. And number 30, as ever, I would love to read comments, especially from Italian soccer fans, Calcio fans or whatever, and Celtic, and also from soccer fans generally, including from America and all over the world, and what people think of Serie A and Italian soccer and Celtic. And any points I've forgotten, hopefully I'll include in part 4, because I keep forgetting things today for some reason, although technically it's a new day. It's midnight here in the UK, so I probably should sleep soon. But anyway, on that note, peace and love.